Hello, everyone, and welcome to our video interview of CMEA's two candidates for president-elect for the California Music Educators Association. I'm Ann Fennell, the immediate past president of CMEA, and I'm here with Dr. David Betancourt and Dr. Michelle McConkey. Before we start, I want to let you both know that you'll have about 2 to 3 minutes to respond to each of the 5 questions. We did a virtual wheel spin to determine who would begin, and Dr. David Betancourt will start. We'll then alternate who will answer each question first for the remainder questions that we have today. So let's begin. David, Dr. Betancourt, please briefly tell us about yourself and what makes you well qualified for the position of president-elect for CMEA.
Thank you so much for having me here on this process of the candidacy. Well, a little bit about myself. I am a California native and only realized in hindsight how rare that might be. Born and bred here, so have been through the music education system from when I started in 4th grade playing trumpet, and have been teaching since 1991 in various capacities, all grade levels, almost all subjects in the music education realm. Have served colleagues and students for well over 30 years, since 1999 in California. Before that, I was in other states doing stuff. I left for a little bit and then saw the wisdom of coming back to this fantastic area. In terms of being qualified for the position of president for CMEA, I have been presiding over various organizations over the last decade plus, including recently here. I'm the past president of the CMEA SES Southeastern section. I'm the past president of the Music Association of California Community Colleges. I was also the chair of the board for get ready for this one, California Community College Council on Staff Development. In each of those roles, my primary directive has been service leadership and just helping colleagues, facilitating colleague success, which I know then transfers to student success. So I think that qualifies me for doing hopefully this next phase of service in helping our organization continue to support and advocate for our colleagues and our students.
Thank you, David. Dr. McConkey, Michelle, the question is yours. Briefly tell us about yourself and what makes you well qualified for this position.
Thank you, Anne. It's wonderful to be here. And so I have been teaching for about 27 years as a music specialist, but I grew up in New York State, and it was also a small area in northern New York, and I currently teach in Northern California, so I have kind of an affinity there. But I've taught for 27 years as an elementary music specialist, as well as teaching at the universities. And I've taught in New York, in Utah, in Arizona, and here in California. And currently I'm teaching future teachers at Chico State, and I also sing in a community choir, and I direct a local church choir. So voice is my main instrument, and I'm still making music as well as teaching children. As far as being qualified, I am connected to future teachers, current teachers, and retired teachers in all of the service that I do in the state. I'm currently serving at all levels of NAFME. I am the NAFME Collegiate Advisor for the student chapter on our campus. I'm also on the Northern Section Board for the region, and I am the advisor for the State Collegiate Council. And I'm also the Western Collegiate Rep on the NAFME Collegiate Council at the national level. So have served at all the levels in NAFME and love all of them. I also am a regional director for the California Arts Project, where we offer professional development and learning for teachers in various ways of doing that. So
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. So now we go to our second question. Michelle, you'll start with this one. What will you do to increase membership in the organization?
Well, I'd really like to reach out to music teachers in the rural and remote areas of the state. I feel like many music teachers kind of feel that they're the only ones in those regions, and often they are. And so, to help them connect with other music teachers, I think is important, and to help them to know that we haven't forgotten them and that there is value in a CMEA membership and what we can do to help them in the rural and remote areas, and that that there's a purpose for us here, and we would like to figure out how we can help them the best in those areas, because I think many of them are not sure of the benefits of being a CMEA membership.
Thank you. David, the question, what will you do to increase membership in the organization?
Yes, what Michelle said. Next question, please. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I know you can edit that out if you need to, or not. We're all human. Uh, so I think one of the priorities would be is to find ways to reach out and strategies to reach out to non-members. Um, and in doing so, I think part of that strategy is to have our members be part of that process. Um, I think oftentimes, I mean, we know as members, we know what the benefits are already, and it's getting that information out to the non-members so that they can join and be part of the cohort as well. I think also connected to membership is really helping facilitate our mentorship program and thinking about what that can actually do for not just our members, but again, non-members who can come in and become members, and just expanding the idea of what mentorship means. And the third thing I think would be is to really help facilitate our strategic plan, because the idea of increasing membership is can continue to be part of that strategic plan, and that plan is going to be need to be redeveloped, re-envisioned again in 2027. So the president at that time, which will be one of us, will be part of that process. So I think those three things would help in increasing membership.
Thank you. David, back at you. CMEA has a diversity, equity, inclusion, and access policy and a strategic plan. What will you do to continue movement in DEIA within the association and implementation of our strategic plan?
Thank you so much for that question. Actually, it's funny because I had read these questions after I had submitted my written response, and I was really excited that it aligned with uh, my response on this and one of our challenges. I think CMEA's core belief, right, in equity and inclusion is currently being challenged. And I think one of the things we can do is, first of all, make that decision to continue to champion DEIA initiatives. The fact of the matter is, we know as educators, and many of the people who experience music education and the teachings and the learnings that go on know that fundamentally music is diverse, is inclusive, does have equity, all these things that we are now fighting for. So I think one of the fundamental things we can do as an organization is to continue to champion uh, our initiatives, to continue to champion the plan that we drew up in a couple different ways. One, of course, is to look at, like, we now have in many of our sections individuals who are representatives. They're DEIA representatives for their section. I think it'd be great to connect those individuals on a statewide level. I know we have a statewide person at the top, but to have a connection between those individuals so they can communicate and talk about what they're doing to bring DEIA that lens into their organization. There's been a lot of work, really good work done in making sure that our documents, that our activities, that everything we do has that lens on it. We continue to champion that lens. I think as a leader, I would do my best to facilitate the advocacy for DEIA. Another thing, again, is going back to that idea of in connection and collaboration is connecting those DEIA representatives with our mentor representatives and having them work together towards strategies that really, again, have that lens of DEIA, but also really, I think, fundamentally just saying, look, CMEA continues to champion DEIA. And these are the ways that we're doing it. And for our membership to hear that and to see it and to know that they are being supported. That to me would be one of the strongest actions that we could take as an organization in our current climate.
Thank you, David. Michelle, to you. CMEA has a diversity, equity, inclusion, and access policy and a strategic plan. What will you do to continue movement in DEIA within the association and implementation of our strategic plan?
Well, thank you, David, for your response because that was exactly, I feel the same way that we need to continue to make this a priority in our organization for sure. And I am a firm believer in music for all. And so, also part of the DEIA is that inclusion of helping teachers to learn ways for culturally responsive and relevant teaching, for including all students in our music making. This can be accomplished. I was reading the strategic plan again, and priority two, the second bullet, it says to engage individuals from diverse backgrounds and identities to conduct professional learning for the members. And I really think I would encourage that. That we use individuals from those various backgrounds and identities to do professional learning for our members, because often we might feel like we can't because we're not part of associated with that, but we have people in our state who can help us to make sure that we make it relevant and important, honoring those. I also would like to model and cultivate a sense of belonging in our organization, that everybody belongs here. And again, talking about why we belong to CMEA and why CMEA is a place for us as professionals. And so, including everybody from all walks of our state. So I would like to include a sense of belonging as well.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, we're going right back to Michelle for question number 4. CMEA continues to advocate for music education. We have our own lobbyist, and our advocacy task force meets weekly. What should CMEA prioritize within our advocacy efforts?
This is a great question. I believe that we should prioritize having qualified, credentialed music teachers in all our public school districts. We currently have Prop 28, in which districts are able to hire art specialists. And with that, we are also in a teacher shortage. And so, being able to help the teacher pipeline and getting qualified, credentialed music teachers in the schools, because we could see districts trying to go different routes in order to get music teachers in their schools, and that's not always the best for students or the teachers themselves. So I think making sure that they are qualified and credentialed. And I'd also advocate, again, because we are trying to expand music in the schools, to advocate for elementary general music specialists in the schools, in all the schools. Our young students need the best qualified teachers to be able to help lay the foundation of musical play, to lay the foundation of positive attitudes toward music and developing strong musical skills. So I think advocating for elementary general music specialists as well would be important for us to continue the advocacy for music education.
Thank you, Michelle. David, your turn. CMEA continues to advocate for music education. We have our own lobbyist, and our advocacy task force meets weekly. What should CMEA prioritize within our advocacy efforts?
Thank you for that question. And I really appreciate Michelle's response, because I wholeheartedly agree that taking care of the professionals who are doing the work all over the state is super important in the pipeline for how they get there, and the future teachers, to the incoming teachers, to the veteran teachers, everybody. And so I really, that would have actually been part of my response. So thank you, Michelle, for that. I also think that in looking in the same vein is to look at what the credentialing process is and really advocate for making it a little more user friendly. As an example, someone who's been credentialed in a different state, I don't think should not have to start over to when they come to California, and that I think would help address the teacher shortage, part of the teacher shortage issue there. I think also we need to continue to advocate for oversight over AAMS, the Arts and Music and School Accountability Act, which we formerly knew as Prop 28. There's still a lot to be of work to be done there to make sure that our colleagues are receiving the appropriate support and the funds that are coming to all the districts. So something to continue looking into there. I think community outreach to advocate for the value of education. That's sort of a never-ending cycle that we continue on, and I think that should be something we can do at the state level. And of course, support for the DEIA initiatives, and we've talked about that already at length. But that I think needs to be prioritized. We're fortunate in the state of California that we do value DEIA, and I want to leverage that valuing towards our music educators and our students.
Thanks, David. We are closing off with our last question. David, you're going to be kicking this off. In a perfect world, what would music education look like in California, and what would CMEA provide as an organization?
Okay, I'm going high risk here, but I think if everybody played trumpet, we'd be fine. Just kidding. I think, honestly, so offering music education at all the grades with equitable access in diverse communities, I think that would be the ultimate. But with diverse offerings, not just, but again, in saying that, I'm not implying that we want a one size fits all system, right? That's not what I'm looking at, that every school has all these offerings, but more of a music, the really fundamental idea of music for all approach, where we're leveraging diversity, we're also initiating inclusion, and we're addressing equitable access. So that means that each community is probably going to look a little different. But what do we do as an organization? We help facilitate what they need, the resources they need, whether it's information, oftentimes it is just information, funding resources. Do we need to get a collaboration going? Advocacy. Do we need to figure out how to help facilitate professional development or musical experiences? And that's all very much, I think, a regional, even sometimes even a district thing. Everybody's a little bit different. What do they need offered in their district? What do they believe they need offered? How can we help facilitate that? How can we connect those different diverse communities? And then finding, so for instance, as Michelle mentioned, some of the rural communities out there. Well, how exciting would that be for them to then find that there are other rural communities that are trying to do the same sort of things? And let's connect them and let's find out what challenges that they are having and what strategies are they using to have success in their community, to bring music education to their community. To be able to do that on a statewide level, that level of sort of buffet style approach where everybody's able to then ultimately have music education in their towns to the degree that they're able to do it and that the community values it, that's the perfect world for me right there. I could walk into any town and see what they're doing and be like, wow, I can see this community values music education. They value music. That would be the perfect for me.
Thank you. Looking forward to these perfect worlds. I love this. Michelle, to you. In a perfect world, what would music education look like in California, and what would CMEA provide as an organization?
Well, exactly just what David said, all of that. I wholeheartedly agree, except that I would have everybody singing, so, you know. But in a perfect world, of course, like David said, we would have qualified, credentialed TK through 12 music specialists in all the school districts in all the communities in California. I would love to see that too, right? You just walk into a community, and I like the idea also of that buffet style of music making in that community, because being able to have music teachers teach a variety of music classes that are inclusive and resonate with the student population and their community, I think that's a beautiful thing, right? Where the students see themselves in school music, where the community sees themselves in the school music. That is because, again, that is a unifying thing that music has for our communities and for our students. Having that sense of belonging, that this is where we belong, and music has that ability to bring us all together. And so I think fostering that is really important. And how can CMEA help that? Well, we can continue to provide support for all the teachers, right? In maybe the professional development, in the leadership that they might need, or for, again, at all levels, right? So district, regionally, and state, and providing performance opportunities and advocacy. So the performance opportunities, I mean, like, we're starting this at CASMEC. We are able to have the performance opportunities for diverse ensembles, and I think that was new this last year, and I think that including that and continuing to show that at the state level then maybe can inspire the music teachers in their districts to say, yeah, I might want to start a mariachi group, or I think it would be great if I started a rock band, because I think that the students would resonate with that. And then for CMEA to give that support to those teachers, to say, this is what you're thinking, this is what you're dreaming of, how can we help you with that, and let's connect across the state, because I'm sure that we have specialists in those different areas, right? And so helping to connect them, so that they can make that be a perfect world in their community.
Thank you so much, Michelle and David, Dr. McConkey and Dr. Betancourt. I truly am honored to be in this space with two highly qualified educators and candidates for the position of President-elect for CMEA. Thank you for your thoughtful responses and the work that goes into taking time to respond to these questions so that our members can understand and see who you are and how you would align with CMEA and their visions as well. We encourage all of our members to go and dig deep into their written responses. These will be on our website as well as in the magazine. And voting will start in January and closes on Saturday of our CASMIC 2026 conference. So from Ann Fennell, immediate past president of CMEA, many thanks to Dr. David Betancourt and Dr. Michelle McConkey for their time today.
Thank you, Anne.